Now joining the A to Z Sports Notre Dame channel is Notre Dame legend Marc Edwards, who, of course, was on the tail end of the golden era, spent 9 years in the National Football League, former second-round draft pick by the San Francisco 49ers. Want to catch up with him because it is exciting times in Notre Dame land, to say the least. Marc, appreciate you for joining the show, man. How's everything been going?
Hey, things are great. Been living down in Florida since my professional days. Uh, you know, After growing up north, I got down to Florida, played for the Jags in 2003. And the first year I was down here, I was playing golf on December 23rd in shorts and a golf shirt. And I'm like, all right, this is home.
I am jealous. I'm here in New Jersey, so I get pretty good seasons, but I'm definitely not playing golf in December. Like, that's definitely not happening up here in New Jersey. So it's and you get to see, and I know we were talking a little bit beforehand, and we'll kind of talk maybe a little bit more about this during the interview, but you get to watch your son play high school football now too, man. It's got to be pretty cool to be able to just kind of experience that stuff, I would assume.
It's been a lot of fun watching him since he was a little guy. His first year he ever played, he came off the field crying the first time. He was literally the worst player on the team. Granted, he was 5 years old playing against 5, 6, and 7-year-olds. But second year he got a little better. Third year he was a key contributor, and that from pretty much then on he's been an outstanding player. So, but yeah, I mean, high school football's back, college football's back. It's the best time of the year, and got a big another game tomorrow night for my son, and so really excited about that.
Yeah, and the bowl school down there in Florida, which for people that don't follow is hotbed of talent, man. I mean, Simeon Caldwell. I know you guys got some great football
Yep.
players. Naheem Burrows is on that offense as
Oh
well.
yeah,
And Xander, right, is how you pronounce your
Xander.
son's
Yeah.
first name, right?
Mm-hmm.
Xander ran for $150 and 2 touchdowns last week, and again, he's playing as a sophomore against some of the better
And
talent in Florida.
only 12 carries, mind you.
Yes,
So yeah, he
so
ran
healthy
hard.
average,
Yeah,
on
we
that.
got JJ Sparks, who is a University of Miami commit at offensive line. So he's got some good guys up front. He runs hard. He was up at Irish Invasion, the camp,
Yep.
over the summer, and was a little bit heavy. Some of the coaches were asking about, hey, has he played defense maybe? But I looked at him, and I'm like, look, buddy, he was 225 pounds at the time. He's 6'2", so he's a big kid. I've never been 6'2", and I wasn't 225 till my sophomore year at Notre Dame. But I looked at him and I was like, hey, man, you get any bigger, you're going to have your hand in the dirt, playing D end or, outside backer or something like that. And he took that to heart. He cut about 10, 12 pounds, came in, from June until the beginning of his training camp, came into the season at about 215 or 212, 211, and got that burst back. Had a nice long touchdown run, ran past everybody, even though some of these kids had an angle on him. I went down to South Florida at the Broward County Classic. So we're playing some of those teams down in Lauderdale, and we showed up pretty well, and he had a great game behind that offensive line, and it was a lot of fun to watch him. Like you said, he had 12 carries for, I think it was $157 and 2 touchdowns, and had an outstanding game.
Yep, and he already has a ton of really nice offers. Hopefully, Notre Dame gets added to that list at some point here.
We're working towards that. We'll be coming up as a recruit for the USC game this year, and probably Navy as well, because those are some of the night games. So he can play his game on Friday night, and we can catch an early flight up on Saturday.
Love it. So
got to get my Notre Dame fix in too.
Oh, you have to. I literally finalized my schedule, so I'm going in for the NC State game, the home game. I'm in Jersey, like I said, so we have a 4-hour drive up to Boston. So we're gonna go to the Boston College game at Boston College, and then I'm going down to the. Might go down to one more, but I'm also checking out Syracuse at Clemson. It's a little bit of a random one, not a Notre Dame.
That should be a pretty good game. And Clemson, obviously Clemson's a top program, and Syracuse was a top 25 team last year, and they've actually offered my son. Syracuse has, so he's got 3 Power 5 offers: SMU, Syracuse, and Pitt, and then another 5 or so group of 5 type teams like Memphis, Western Kentucky, and something like that.
Yep, and for context, again, only a rising sophomore this year, right? So he's got plenty of
Yeah.
time in the recruiting
Yeah,
circus, which is going to be fun.
6'2", 212 right now, and the kid, he's a load. So he got there was a bunch of media outlets and Instagrammers and everybody down there in South Florida covering that Broward County Classic, because some of those games were on TV as well, ESPN2, and we were one of the smaller games, but a lot of coverage, and he's gotten a lot of hype and videos coming out on him for his performance. So it's very encouraging.
Yeah, no doubt. And I know I actually wanted to kind of start it off by asking, just kind of what you've been doing outside of maybe just being fan and dad. But I think a good way to maybe transition would be, since we're already talking Notre Dame football a little bit, is just seeing this team mature over the last couple of years, Mark. Obviously, the first couple of years under Marcus Freeman, there were a couple losses where you're just kind of like scratching your head a little bit.
Yeah.
And then finally this past year, 14 wins, national title appearance. It really feels like everything's trending in a great direction here. I guess just from an outsider, a person that wore the blue and golds in, the end of the golden era there under Coach Holtz, how excited should Notre Dame fans be about this era currently of Notre Dame football?
Like you said, I was a little worried early on. Freeman got hired without any head coaching experience, a young coach. Now, granted, he did bring in experience in both the coordinators' positions, but once again, we had some very bad losses, first couple of years. And then really last year, Northern Illinois was an awful loss. Thought we were, derailed before the season even really got going last year after a nice win at Texas A&M. But what he's been doing that's been encouraging is the way he's out there recruiting, the effort that he's putting in, that the team, that the coaches are putting in is outstanding. And that's really what is most encouraging about this whole regime. Obviously, the X's and O's, Freeman's has been learning on the job, once again, hiring experience, on the coaching staff and the coordinator side, but him getting out there and doing the things that the previous coach wasn't willing to do recruiting wise. That's really what I'm excited about, the type of athletes we're bringing in now. We're bringing in speed, we're bringing in size, we're bringing in athleticism. So that's really, really encouraging. That's what the SEC's been doing for the longest time. Now we're getting these guys that can compete and match up and even out athletic some of those teams. So it's very encouraging all around.
Yeah, I think that's very well said. They are quickly closing the gap on getting some of those players that you will see play college football anywhere, which I think is very important and key moving forward here. I love to ask, because we're recording this before USC. I'm not actually, before USC, before the season opener, down in Miami at Hard Rock Stadium. And I have rivalries on the back of my mind. So USC and Michigan just popped up for whatever reason, but Miami season opener down in Hard Rock. Now, correct me if I'm wrong, but you didn't ever play Miami during your career, right? So you never played them.
I was early 90s when we were going against Florida State when they were at the top of their game.
Yes. So you were 93 to 96, and obviously correct. Miami late 80s, early 90s. There was a lot of great games. Obviously we know the Catholics versus the Convicts, all that type of stuff. But curious, because obviously it's not a rivalry like Michigan and USC are, right? Like there is just this hatred, and they've played a whole lot more. They haven't played Miami nearly as much as some of those teams, obviously, but there is still a competitive.
There's a big history there, just recent history, from the Holtz years, really, and then throughout the 2000s, we with the ACC, contract and stuff like that, we've been playing them a lot more as well. But once again, when we went down there the last time, I think it was 17 or whatever. I think that was the last time
we don't talk about that 2017.
But we got shellacked. Holy moly! From the beginning, that dang turnover chain, was out more than it needed to be, and it's a tough place to play when they're hyped up for a game like this. Like I don't think week in and week out, playing in Miami is a tough environment. Like if you go to an Alabama or a Georgia or something like that. Those places are absolutely crazy every single week, no matter who the opponent is. But with it being the beginning of the year, the opening of the season, a highly, top 10 type matchup, I'm sure that's going to be a very loud and difficult environment, just like it was back in 17. And, if Notre Dame can withstand that early on, then, I think our talent is going to take over and we're going to be fine. But you can't let that momentum, get you off to a bad start with a turnover and something like that energizes that crowd. And if we can withstand that first quarter and we're in good shape without any major mistakes, then I think we're going to be just fine and take care of business.
Yeah, that's what I've been talking about for weeks. Like you need to get the fan base out of that game as quickly as you possibly can. Like a fast start would be amazing because all due respect to the Miami fans, but they'll be there. But we do know that if things go tough, they'll stop, right? Like they'll stop yelling so loud. I mean, it just is what it is, But the reason I was asking about Miami though to start is obviously not a traditional rival like Michigan, USC, like that type of thing. But I was curious of just this being game one of a bitter rivalry of a team that you really don't like, a team that you really want to beat, and obviously a top 10 matchup. What is it like from a player's perspective, of a former Notre Dame player's perspective, to start the year off in that type of environment against a rival and to really kind of kick the season off? Because for me, Mark, like the thing with like the conference realignment and some of the, transfer portal stuff, we are losing that impact of rivalries in this sport a little bit, right? And I think that's obviously what makes the game so amazing on the college level.
Well, everybody's been anticipating this matchup for a long time. So obviously it's an enormous game with playoff implications, right from the beginning of the season. As a player, the environment you're walking into. It's going to be loud. It's going to be crazy, at least to start the game. And, as a player, you just relish those opportunities. There's nothing better than being on the road and just shutting a crowd down. It's just a beautiful thing when, at the end of the game, you can hear your quarterback calling out the cadence when you're, in victory formation right at the end, taking a knee. There's nothing better than that, watching the fans go out of that stadium early. And, hopefully that's what we're able to do. And, it doesn't have to be close, No, it doesn't have to be an entertaining game for the fans. If we take care of business early, avoid that initial push, then we can have this by double digits. And I just love the direction we're heading in, and we just got to go out there and prove it.
Yeah, I agree completely. My final score prediction was 31-16 for this game if it has not been played yet.
I can see that.
Yeah. I don't know. Every time I look on paper at this team and I go back and watch some all 22 of Miami and some of the transfer portal players that they've picked up, like Carson Beck and a couple defensive linemen, I'm just like, I just think Notre Dame's the better team, man. Like I just do, from a per position perspective. But we'll see how everything plays down in Hard Rock. I want to ask you, because like I said, 1996 final season at Notre Dame, you played 9 years in the NFL. You talked obviously about, being dad, being down in Florida, being able to see your son play high school football. I guess my question is just kind of maybe more on a professional level, just kind of what have you been up to since Notre Dame? Because obviously when we talk about Notre Dame football and that Notre Dame degree, a lot of people after their playing career are obviously very successful in a lot of other arenas.
Yeah. So, obviously, after Notre Dame, 9 years in the NFL, was fortunate enough to have a nice career, the Super Bowl with the Patriots in 2001, which was an unreal experience. When I got out of the league, I'm like, all right, I'm 30 years old. Like, what do I do now that I'm an adult, right? Yeah. Been playing football since I was 6 years old. And, now all of a sudden I got to figure out what the heck's going on with the rest of my life. And I got into the insurance business and financial world, got my Series 7 insurance licenses. And I was starting hearing no for the first time in my life. I was reaching out to all of those people who were asking for tickets and favors and things like that throughout the years. And then all of a sudden, when I was trying to build my career after football, all of a sudden those people weren't around. This is one of the things that I tell like the current team when they bring me back, we come in for fantasy camp and stuff like that still. And they have us talk to the team about our experiences out, after football and things like that. And that's one of the things I tell them, like, look, you got to make these relationships now because, when football's over with, man, like you're going to hear the word no for the first time in your life. And it's a very eye-opening experience. So fortunately for me, during my playing days, I was a senior at Notre Dame. And after one of the games, I was at the linebacker bar, right across the street.
We know backers.
Got to head to the backer.
Yep.
And ran into a guy. And I don't remember this encounter, but basically I just wasn't a jerk. I sat there and I talked with a guy, hey, Marc Edwards, great game, whatever. And I sat there, he was back by the pool table and just chatted for a few minutes. No big deal, right? So years later, after I retired from the NFL, it's 2006, 2007, after I finished up with the Bears in 2005, and I'm at Charlie Weiss's golf outing in South Bend, Indiana, at the Warren course. And after the game, I just happened to sit at a table, and this guy was there that owned a bunch of forklift dealerships. And, we were just kind of talking, and he told me that story of when I met him in 1996 at the linebacker, right? And just, talk with him just a little bit about football. Anyway, fast forward a year or two, I just keep in touch with him, and he's like, hey, I know you don't like what you're doing, but we got this product that we're bringing over. This guy from Australia is coming over with this kind of safety and efficiency device for forklifts, kind of a black box type system. And he needs a face of the company, a head sales guy, whatever. So I'm like, hey, I hate what I'm doing now. I haven't really found my second calling. So anyway, I started off, as a sales guy, but as a startup, you kind of got to learn everything. So I ended up, what we would do is we would sell to forklift dealers and teach their techs to install it, and they'd screw it up. So I had to go out in the field, get my hands dirty and rewire forklifts, figuring these stuff out. And I just spent hours upon hours on sites fixing these problems, even though I didn't know how to do it at the time. Just was on the phone with our technical guy. And eventually these forklift dealers were like, hey, you fixed all our problems. Why don't you just install this to begin with? So I started doing that, and I built into a company. I got 7 employees now. We travel around the country, rewiring forklifts, basically putting these safety and efficiency devices on forklifts.
Wow, that's a really interesting story, especially because I feel like every time I talk to a Notre Dame alumni or I talk to a Notre Dame student athlete or a recruit that's going through, they always talk about the Notre Dame alumni network, right? And the ability to be able to find connections through that and to further your career in the future and all that type of stuff. But I mean, funny that the whole second phase of your career started with a conversation you had at Backers, it's pretty wild to think about. It's pretty
exactly,
cool.
Exactly.
I love that, man. That's an awesome story. Marc, one thing that I wanted to ask before I got you off here is, I know that we talked a little bit about, Notre Dame going into, a great stage of career, of next steps of going into a regime and an era of hopefully, the next golden era of Notre Dame football. But I wanted to talk to you because before we got before I started recording, I should say, we talked a little bit about how, the eras have changed a little bit, right? The game's a little bit different. I would love to know, though, just based upon what you've seen of this Notre Dame team, who are a couple players that you feel like that guy could have excelled even in the golden era of Notre Dame football? A guy maybe that you would have loved to play with. I am wearing a Jeremiah Love shirt right now, so maybe you could just throw his name out there. Like he's a pretty good player, but there's a couple guys that just have impressed you.
That one's a no-brainer.
Sure.
But I like our linebackers. I mean, Drake, Bowen. I mean, he could play anywhere, anytime. Oh my gosh, our the corner Moore,
Leonard Moore.
I mean, those are like the guys. We had Jeff Burris and oh gosh, the guy Tommy Carter and guys like that. We're in that Holtz era. I mean, just these guys are just so good. And then obviously like the offensive line, we just keep churning out top offensive linemen, and these guys are enormous. Actually, Emil Wagner, he's almost a non-prototypical Notre Dame lineman. You got the Joe Alt guy, 6'7", 6'8", 330. I mean, Wagner's barely 300 pounds, but he's one of the top-ranked offensive tackles in the country. I mean, he's a little bit different than our typical offensive lineman. But I mean, I was there. Last a week ago Saturday, I think I was moving my daughter. She's actually my youngest daughter's a senior at Notre Dame. in majoring in biochemistry and Spanish. So she's already applied to like 30 med schools.
She's pretty smart, is what you're saying. She's
Oh
pretty
yeah,
intelligent.
yeah. Way smarter than me. I mean, I use my head to hit people. She uses her head because she's got a brain. So, but I got to go to the last scrimmage that Saturday morning. I moved her in on Sunday. Or moved her in that later on that Saturday. So I just happened to be in town. I got in town late Friday night or late Saturday. I don't know. But yeah, I think it was late Saturday. And the scrimmage was Sunday morning, I want to say. And I moved her in Sunday afternoon. So it was nice to getting out there on the field and seeing those guys and what they were doing. And, you know, it's, gosh, man, there's just a lot of talent, a lot of speed.
Yes.
And that's part of today's game versus, you know, the more power that we had back in the 90s under Holtz. I mean, we still had some good athletes, don't get me wrong, but not like these kids nowadays. But we were super physical and you know, it's just but that's how the game is now. And that's why I tell my son all the time, you know, you're bigger, you're faster, you're stronger, you're more athletic than I am, than I was. Obviously than I am now, but more athletic than I was back in the day. But, you know, you're not as mean and tough as I was. And that's what's going to differentiate you in today's game. I mean, granted, he is very mean and tough for this generation, but, you know, he needs to take it that next level to compete against these elite athletes. And, you know, he's got to just tell him he's got to run angry, man.
Yeah. Well, who's the bowl school got next? Who you guys got on the docket?
Oh, we got Trinity.
Okay.
Yeah. Trinity Christian. They're historically a pretty good team. They lost their week 1 opener, but they're traditionally, you know, a relative power in, you know, in Florida football. So I got them tomorrow night, and you know, fired up for it already, man.
Yeah. Well, if anybody wants a little bit of fun as we're getting out of here, Xander Edwards, 2028 recruits. If you want to go check out his Huddle highlight tape from just his freshman year last year, I don't know if he has his first game of the sophomore up on Huddle yet, but
there's he's already got, you know, all that stuff put up there. I mean, you know, they have access to that Huddle thing now where they can make their highlights like hours after the game. It's crazy, you know, how they have access to all this stuff. And then, you know, his Instagram and his Twitter or X now. He's got a bunch of stuff posted on there. So you know, give him a follow.
Yeah, I'll give him a follow. Go watch the Huddle highlight tape. Like I said, it's a ton of fun. Remember, if you go back to the previous highlight, that is a high school freshman playing football, which is just incredible.
Yeah, he had a solid freshman year. Had about 700 and some yards and like 8 touchdowns. Had 2 seniors in front of him, and he did all that. Like, one of the guys got hurt, you know, about the 6th game or something. So he did most of that damage the second half of the season, and you know, ended up the years they're, you know, really their top back. So
and I'm excited to see what he does over the next couple of years for sure. Mark, I really appreciate your time again so much. I wanted to keep you to about 15 minutes, and I looked up and it was at 22 minutes already. I'm like, okay,
love talking football, man. I can sit here and do this all day.
Love it. Well, Mark, thank you so much. We really appreciate it. Maybe we'll have to have you back on again in the future at some point, but
let's do it, man.
Thank you for your time today, man. I really appreciate it.
You bet. Go Irish and go Bulldogs.